Antlers. Antlers. Oh. Hello, boys and girls. Well, it's another week, and we're back with our lovable librarians and our wonderful story hour. And our week's theme is... What's that? What?
Folk tales.
Oh! Folk tales from around the world. Are you ready, Miss Betsy?
Sure thing.
Okay. And action!
Hi, boys and girls. This week we're reading stories from all around the world, and this story is called Bimwili and the Zimwi by Verna Ardima. It's a Swahili folk tale. One morning, when the mist was still pink from the sunrise, 3 sisters set out from a Swahili village to go play by the sea. The path to the sea was long, and though the 2 older girls had walked it often, this was the first time for their little sister, Bimwili. The big girls had not wanted to take her. Titi said, "Mama, Bimwili is too little to go so far." And Tasha added, "Something's sure to happen to her." But Mama Hawa said, "If you don't take Bimwili, you may not go either." So Bimwili got to tag along with her big sisters. The path led them through the jungles, vibrant with morning songs of birds and swamps noisy with the whir, whir, whir of the frogs. Finally, they reached the sea. Huge breakers were rolling in. Swoosh, swoosh. The 2 older girls waded in and began diving through the waves, while Bimwili played at the water's edge. She would follow the backwash and then run back with the next wave, slapping at her heels. Suddenly, something that looked like a daytime moon came rolling in with the wave. It tumbled at Bimwili's feet. "Aye!" she cried. "A shell! It's mine!" Bimwili sat on a nearby rock to examine it. She ran her fingers around the bumpy ridge that spiraled to a peak. She held the smooth open side of it to her cheek. Then, to her surprise, she heard the soft shh, like the sound of the sea, coming from inside it. She made up a song that she sang over and over. "I have a shell from out of the sea, a shell the big wave gave to me. It's pink inside like the sunset sky, and in it you can hear the ocean sigh." After a while, Bimwili put down the shell and went back to playing in the water. When the sun was straight up in the sky, the girls set out for home. They had not gone far when Bimwili cried, "My shell! I forgot it. We must go back and get it." Tasha said, "Bimwili, I knew you would be a bother." And Titi said, "Next time we come, we'll find your shell again." But Bimwili insisted on going back at once, and they let her go all by herself. Alone on the path, she was afraid, so she sang, "I have a shell from out of the sea, a shell the big wave gave to me. It's pink inside like the sunset sky, and in it you hear the ocean sigh." Bimwili was still singing when she reached the beach, and there, sitting on a rock where she had left her shell, was an ugly old Zimwi. His face was creased like a shrunken gourd, and his long arms dangled down the sides of the rock. When he saw Bimwili, his wrinkles crinkled into a smile, and he greeted her. "Jumbo, little girl, how sweetly you sing." "Jumbo," said Bimwili hesitantly, "I want my shell that is there beside you." "Sing for me first," said the Zimwi. Bimwili began in a scared little voice, I have a shell from out of the sea." "No, no, no," cried the Zimwi. "I can't hear you. Come closer and sing louder." Willie obeyed, but the Zimwi said he still couldn't hear her. He made her sing over and over, each time coming closer. At last she was so near that he flung out his long arms and caught her. Garum! Now I have you, my little singer, he cried. Mama, 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 screamed Willie as the Zimwi stuffed her into a big drum that he had beside him. Then he threw in the shell and fastened the drum head in place. Willie's crying gradually turned into a sniffling. Poor Willie. Now, said the Zimwi, I have the only singing drum in the world. I shall be famous. And when I beat the drum, you, my little singer, will sing your song. Then he picked up the drum and set out down a path. Soon he came to a scatter of huts under some coconut trees. He went to the baraza, the meeting place, and he said to the men there, Gather the people together. I have a drum that can sing, not gum, gum, gum. It sings a beautiful song. Cook me a meal and I shall entertain you. While the food was being prepared, the Zimwi beat the drum, and a sad little voice inside it sang the song of the shell. The people were delighted. They let the Zimwi eat all he wanted, and then he took up the drum and set out for the next town. Meanwhile, the older girls arrived home. Where's Willie? Asked Mama Hawa. They had to admit that they had let her return to the beach all by herself. Go back, cried their mother. How could you leave that little girl alone on the path? The girls hurried back down the path. They ran and they walked and they walked and they ran, and at last they reached the sea. The tide was out. The beach was wide and bare. The only living things were the sand crabs skittering sideways. Googa, googa, googa. The girls were terrified. Something bad had happened to Willie, and it was all their fault. When Titi and Tasha returned home without Willie, the whole village gathered under a mango tree. Their father, Hamasi, organized a search. It was evening, so the men set out with torches. They searched all night and for many days after that. At last they gave up. During this time, Willie was traveling with Zimwi. It was uncomfortable living in a drum by day and sleeping on the scruffy mats of guest huts at night. She ate food from the jungle, bananas, coconut meat, and coconut milk, and each night her going to sleep song was the shh of the sea in her seashell. Willie's only duty was to sing. She became bored with singing the same thing over and over, so sometimes she changed the words, and the Zimwi didn't seem to notice. After many days, it happened that the Zimwi carried the drum into the village that encircled the mango tree. He went to the baraza and said to the men, Gather the people together. I have a drum that can sing, not gum, gum, gum. It sings a beautiful song. Cook me a meal and I shall entertain you. As the food was being prepared, one of the women asked, Bwana Zimwi, do you want fish or fowl with your rice? Inside the drum, Willie caught her breath. That was her mother's voice. This was her own village. When the Zimwi beat the drum, she sang, I have a shell from out of the sea, a shell the Zimwi stole from me. It's dark in here like the midnight sky. If you listen, you'll hear Willie sigh. Now Mama Hawa was stirring the kettle. She didn't hear the song, but Titi and Tasha heard. They gasped with delight. They hurried to their mother and whispered, It's Willie singing in the drum. So when the Zimwi was about to eat, Mama Hawa gave him a water pot and said, Here, go to the river yonder and fetch us some water. And while the Zimwi was gone, Willie's father, Hamasi, opened the drum. There was his little girl, all curled up inside of it, holding her shell. He lifted her out and put her into the arms of her mother. With tears of joy, Mama Hawa carried her into their own hut. There, Titi and Tasha hugged Willie, and together the three sisters giggled over the happy ending to their strange adventure. Meanwhile, Hamasi scooped sand into the drum and put the top back on. Now, after the Zimwi have eaten, Hamasi said, play for us once more before you go. the Zimwi began to beat the drum. No song came from it. "Sing, drum, sing," he scolded, but the drum would not sing. The people laughed. They laughed so hard they doubled over and slapped their thighs. And the Zimwi took his drum and hastily left. When he had gone a little way, he said, "Little girl, why didn't you sing for me?" But no one answered from inside the drum. Angrily, the Zimwi tore off the drumhead. "Allah!" he bellowed as he saw how he had been tricked. Then, Papo Hapo, he turned the drum into a pumpkin vine and himself into a huge, all-devouring pumpkin. The next day, the three sisters sent down the path to look for food. When they saw the pumpkin, Bimwili cried, "Oh, let's pluck it for our mother." The pumpkin said, "There you are, my little singer. I'll pluck you." And he came rolling after Bimwili. Belong, belong, belong. Titi and Tasha each grabbed one of Bimwili's hands, and they ran headlong with her back to the village, to the baraza where Hamasi and some other men were sitting. "Hide us," they cried. "The Zimwi has turned into a pumpkin, and he is chasing us." The men hurried the girls into the council hut. Soon the big pumpkin came rolling in. "Have you seen my people?" he asked. Hamasi said, "Are your people pumpkins?" The pumpkin growled, "They're in that hut. I see their tracks." And he scrambled toward the doorway. "Aye!" cried Hamasi as he leaped between them. And then, quack! The Zimwi turned from a pumpkin into a seagull, and he flew away over the jungles, over the swamps, and back to the beach he flew. He alighted on the rock where he had caught Bimwili, and there the Zimwi changed back into his usual self. His long arms dangled down the sides of a rock, and his wrinkled face crinkled into a smile as he said in farewell, "Kwaheri, my little singer." That evening at moonrise, the people of the village gathered inside a circle of fires and told tales, and little Bimwili had a story to tell and a shell to show. To the people, the shell was amazing. They passed it from one to another, holding it to their ears, and one by one, they listened to the mysterious whisper of the sea. Shh. The end.
Well, thank you to Miss Betsy for her wonderful story. And now it's time for Miss Lynn. Hi, Miss Lynn.
Hello, Marvin T. You look good today.
Well, you look absolutely lovely, as usual, and thank you very much. See my antlers? Antlers.
Antlers.
Antlers. Anyway, well, now it's time for Miss Lynn's story. And action!
The story I'm going to read today is called Coyote, a trickster tale from the American Southwest, and it's by Gerald McDermott. Coyote. Coyote, Blue Coyote. He was going along, following his nose. He had a nose for trouble. There he goes. Coyote stuck his nose into a badger hole, and the badger bit him. Coyote wanted to have a flaming red head like a woodpecker, but his fur caught on fire. Look at the fire on top of his head. Coyote went looking for Snake, but only found trouble. Coyote was always in trouble. Coyote came to a place where the earth meets the sky. He heard laughing and singing, and he went up to take a look. Coyote saw a flock of crows. They were chanting and they were dancing. Then the birds spread their wings and they flew through the air and they circled the canyon. "Oh," said Coyote, if I could only fly, I would be the greatest coyote in all the world." Coyote called to the crows. "Let me join you," he said. "This foolish coyote wants to be like us," Old Man Crow said to his flock. "Let's have some fun with him." Old Man Crow turned one eye toward Coyote. "You may dance with us," he said. "Oh, thank you," said Coyote, "but I want to fly too." "Well, maybe you can," said Old Man Crow. So Old Man Crow plucked a feather from his left wing. He told his flock to do the same. They stuck the feathers in Coyote. Coyote winced. His nose twitched. That kind of hurt, getting those feathers put in there. The crows chuckled. "You are ready to fly," said Old Man Crow. The birds began their slow, steady chant. They hopped from one foot to the other. The coyote joined in the dance. Even though he got out of step and sang out of tune, he was very proud of himself. There they go dancing. The crows spread their wings and soared into the sky. Coyote followed. His flight was jerky. He tilted to one side. Since his feathers were only from the left wing of each bird, he was off balance. Oh no! He fell to the ground. "Wait," he cried out. "Don't leave me behind." The birds returned and gathered around Coyote. "We must balance him," said Old Man Crow. Old Man Crow plucked a feather from his right wing. Each of his flock did the same. Coyote cringed as they each stuck the feathers in his fur. The crows cackled. The birds began their slow, steady chant. Coyote hopped along, flapping his feathered legs and singing sour notes. The dancers spread their wings and they leapt into the air. Soon the crows were flying high over the canyon. Coyote struggled to keep up. "Carry me," he demanded. The crows circled the coyote, but they didn't carry him. Instead, they took back their feathers one by one, and Coyote sank through the air. There he goes down. He fell straight down. "Whoa!" he howled, and Coyote fell so fast his tail caught fire. He fell into a pool on the mesa. There he goes. Coyote crawled out of the water. He heard laughter and saw the crows flying away. Coyote ran after them. He tripped and he fell and he tumbled in the dirt. Coyote went home soaked and covered with dust. To this day he is the color of dust, and to this day his tail has a burnt black tip. To this day, Coyote still follows his nose. He has a nose for trouble, and he always finds it. The end.
Thank you, Miss Lynn. Boy, Coyote sure is a trickster. That was a wonderful story. And now it's time for Miss Michelle. Miss Michelle! She's always wandering off. I can't find her. Call her, boys and girls. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Miss Michelle! Oh, I'm right here, Marvin. We were calling you and waiting for you. It's your turn. Okay. Are you going to do your action and let me know it's time to start? Okay. Ready? 1, 2. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. 3, 3.5. I was just seeing if you were paying attention. Okay. Action! Hi, boys and girls. I'm paying attention now. I promise I'll do better. This is the story
of Anansi the spider. And Anansi is a very wise creature this folktale is from the Ashanti people from Ghana. And we thought you would like to hear it. And this is adapted, and the stories are by Gerald McDermott. This one is a very adventurous story. Anansi the spider. Anansi, he is spider. To the Ashanti people, in Ashanti land, people love this story of Kwaku Anansi. Time was, Anansi had 6 sons. First son was called See Trouble. He had the gift of seeing trouble a long way off. Second son was Road Builder. Thirsty son was River Drinker. Next son was Game Skinner. Another son was Stone Thrower. And last of sons was Cushion, and he was very soft. All were good sons of Anansi. One time, Anansi went a long way from home, far from home, and he got lost. Where am I? Where am I? And he fell into trouble. Uh-oh. And then he fell into the river. Splash! And guess who was waiting for him? Fish. And fish ate and swallowed Anansi whole. Well, back home was son, See Trouble. Father is in danger, he cried. And he knew it quickly, and he told those other sons. Road Builder's son said, follow me. And off he went, making a road. And they went fast, those 6 brothers, gone to help Anansi. Where is father now? Deep down inside Mr. Fish. Fish has swallowed him. Anansi is inside fish. So River Drinker took a big, big drink of the river. And he sucked it all up. No more river. Then Game Skinner helped Father Anansi, and he split open fish. And there was their dad, Anansi. So Anansi got out of the fish, and then guess what? More trouble came right then. Poor Anansi. It was Falcon, and he took Anansi up in the sky. Quick, now, Stone Thrower! And the stone hit Falcon, and Anansi fell through the sky. Now Cushion ran to help his father. Okay, I got you, Dad. I got you. And very soft, Anansi came down. They were very happy, that spider family, because they had rescued their dad, and they were all together again. Well, all home again that night, Kwaku Anansi found a thing in the forest. What is this? A great globe of light? Oh, mysterious and beautiful. I shall give this to my son, said Anansi, to the son who rescued me. But which son of 6, which deserves the prize? Niami, can you help me? Oh, Niami, called Anansi. For Ashanti people, Niami is the god of all things, and when he's asking for his advice. Anansi asked this of Niami. Please hold the beautiful globe of light until I know which son should have it for his own. And so they tried to decide which son deserved the prize, and they tried, but they They just couldn't decide, and they argued all night. Yami saw this. The God of all things, he took the beautiful white light up in the sky, and he keeps it there for all to see. It is still there, and it will always be there, and it is there tonight. So they couldn't decide. They left it there. And so we keep looking up at the moon. So that ends our story hour, and we're going to finish this part up, and we'll be starting our second part of our story hour very, very soon. Marvin! Marvin! You gotta go find Marvin so he can close the show, okay? We'll be right back. He talks about me not paying attention. Marvin?
Yeah, I was paying attention. Well, oh, okay. Well, boys and girls, that includes the first half of our story hour, and we're going to start a second. So stay tuned. See you soon. Antlers. Part 2. Hello, boys and girls. Now for part 2 of our folk tales of around the world. Are you ready, Miss Betsy?
Yes.
Okay. Action!
Hello again. This is a folk tale from early America called The Story of Johnny Appleseed, and it's a tale of all of the apple trees that were grown in the United States. Many years ago, when America was a new country, there lived a brave and gentle man named John Chapman. John loved the outdoors. He would walk for miles in the woods, among the trees and the flowers, happy and alone in his thoughts. One day, after a long walk, John sat under a tree to rest. He felt the warm sun on his back and the fresh grass tickling his toes. John took an apple from his sack and ate it. And when he had finished, he looked in his hand at what was left, just a few brown seeds. And John thought, if one gathered the seeds and planted them, our land would soon be filled with apple trees. What a great idea. John Chapman lived on the frontier in Massachusetts, where the country had been settled. But every day pioneers were leaving to travel west, where there were no homes or villages, and where the only roads were Native American trails. In their covered wagons, the pioneers made the long and dangerous journey through the wilderness. They wanted to build new lives for themselves in a new part of the country. John Chapman went too, but he did not travel in the covered wagons. He walked in his bare feet. He carried no weapons, as men did in those days, to protect themselves from wild animals and danger. He carried only a large sack on his back, filled with apple seeds, and his cooking pan on his head. As he walked, John planted seeds. He gave a small bag full to everyone he saw. Soon, everyone who knew him called him Johnny Appleseed. Sometimes Johnny stopped for many weeks helping the pioneers. They cleared the land, they built homes, they planted rows and rows of apple trees, and when they were finished, Johnny walked on to help others, but he always came back to see his friends. Everyone loved Johnny Appleseed, especially the children. When Johnny rested from his planting, the children sat around him, listening to all his adventures. Johnny Appleseed walked alone. He slept out of doors, in the woods, or by the river. He met wolves and foxes, birds and deer. They were all his friends. One day, as Johnny was eating lunch, he heard a noise, and 3 little bear cubs ran from behind a tree. When the mother bear came out and saw them playing together, she sat and watched. She knew Johnny Appleseed would not harm her young. That'd be fun to be able to play with bears. Johnny met many Native Americans on the way. He was kind to them and gave them seeds and herbs which they used as medicine. Although the Native Americans were not friendly to any white men who chased them from their homes, Johnny was their friend. Johnny did not like people to fight. He tried to make peace between the settlers and the Native Americans, for he believed that all men should live together as brothers. On and on Johnny walked, planting as he went. When he needed more seeds, he collected sackfuls from the cider mills. Everyone saved his apple seeds for Johnny. Many years passed. Johnny Appleseed walked on. He visited his friends and saw with pleasure the many apple trees which covered the land, and he was happy. But then, one year, there was a long, cold winter. When spring should have come, the snow was still on the ground, and frost was on the trees. Johnny couldn't sleep or eat. He was afraid that his trees would die. As he was walking among the trees one day, Johnny Appleseed fell to the ground. He was very ill. After some hours, a Native American mother and her son passed by and saw Johnny lying in the cold. Quickly, the boy ran for help, and Johnny was carried to their village not far away. Oh, no. For many days, he lay ill with fever. The Native Americans gave him medicine and nursed him. There he is in the tent, in the teepee. And one day, Johnny Appleseed opened his eyes. He smiled at his Native American friends. He knew they had saved his life. He saw that the sun was warm and the frost had left the trees. Spring had come at last, and Johnny was well again. But he never forgot his friends and went to see them often. Johnny Appleseed, the gentle pioneer, lived for many years planting apple trees wherever he went. We can still see them today. They are large and old and heavy with apples. They are the gift Johnny Appleseed gave to his country, and to you and to me.
Thank you, Miss Betsy. Wow, I'm getting hungry now. Those apples sure sound tasty. Anyway, here's our next folk tale with Miss Lynn. Hi, Miss Lynn.
Hi, Marvin T.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. And action!
This book is called Honey, Honey, Lion by Jan Brett. And it's a story from Africa. In Africa, the honey guide, which is a bird right there, and the honey badger are partners when it comes to honey. The little bird follows a bee to its hive, then she leads the honey badger there to break it open with its big strong claws, and together they share the sweetness. Maybe this day Badger was hungrier than usual. Maybe he forgot about Honey Guide, who showed him the way. Or he could have been thinking, my strong claws do all the hard work. Whatever the reason, that day Badger would not share his honey. It's not very nice not to share. Honey Guide scolded Badger as he waddled back to Jackleberry Tree. His tummy was almost touching the ground, he ate so much. She fussed and fumed as he tried to fit in his burrow. Finally, she cried out for all the animals to hear, "No fair, no fair!" Soon, all the guinea hens were broadcasting the news. Honey Guide is in a major rage. But Badger did not hear. He was sound asleep, smiling and snoring and hiccuping from his big meal of honey. Grump, grump, Badger roared out the loudest hiccup of all, and its deep, low rumble gave Honey Guide an idea. The next morning, Badger woke up hungry. his tummy flat as a pancake. That's when Honey Guide flew by, heading for the great gray baobab tree. Honey, 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 she cried, grinning. The little bird zigzagged over its large roots. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. There it is. Badger ran after her. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Honey Guide flew low across the water hole. Splish, splash. See the hippos in there? Badger paddled after her. Splish, splash. Because usually she leads him to honey. Honey Guide glided to the top of a termite mound and bounced on one foot. Sprung, sprung. Honey Guide landed on a hollow log. It echoed as she stomped along. Boom, boom. Badger hurried to catch up. Boom, boom. Next, Honey Guide flitted through a stand of papyrus. The dry reeds waved back and forth. Clickety-click. Badger traipsed along, muttering, "Where is that honey?" The papyrus rattled as he went by. Clickety-click. There he is, following Honey Guide. Honey Guide led him through a field of golden bristle grass. Swish! Badger huffed and puffed, but the thought of the delicious meal waiting for him kept him going. Swish, swish. By now, Badger was tired and wet and itchy and sore, but he didn't slow down because Honey Guide was just ahead of him. She flashed her wings and fanned her tail and dove under an acacia tree. Badger charged in after her, singing triumphantly, "Honey, honey, lion!" There's a lion under that tree. Uh-oh. Lion, lion, lion! Badger turned on his tail and ran. There he goes. Swish, swish through the grass, clickety-clack into the papyrus, boom, boom, over the hollow log. Sprung over the termite mound, splish, splash across the water hole. Look at the lions following him. Pitter-patter over the baobab roots. Badger dashed into his burrow. Honey Guide cheered. In a flash, Badger was as far away from the entrance as he could be. Right behind him was Lion's huge paw, batting the air. But he could not reach him, and that's the closest any animal could be to an angry lion and live to tell the tale. That evening, Mongoose squealed to the elephant, who trumpeted to Hippo, who bellowed to Warthog, who squealed to Bishop Bird, who piped to Hyena, who whooped to Zebra, who snorted to Giraffe, who was overheard by Guinea Hen, who bugled it far and wide. It was the Bush Telegraph, and it said, "If Honey Guide leads you to a beehive, be sure and reward her, or next time she will lead you to a lion." The end.
Thank you, Miss Flynn. That was a very exciting story. Well, now, Miss Michelle. She's not paying attention. Well, let's call her, boys and girls. 1, 2, 3. Miss Michelle! Yep, I'm right. I'm right here, Marvin. Well, it's your turn. Okay. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. And in 1, 2, 3. Action!
Hi, boys and girls. Well, I think we'd finish up. We've read folk tales from around the world, and we're going to finish up with, this is a an Uti tale, and this is about Coyote Steals the Blanket, and it's retold and illustrated by Janet Stevens. So, we'll get started. Coyote is a trickster in a lot of folk tales. Coyote Steals the Blanket. Coyotes darted in and out, back and forth among the rocks. I go where I want, I do what I want, I take what I want, he bragged. I should be crowned king of the desert. And just then, a hummingbird zoomed by. Bzzz. Coyote's ears twitched. There's that bird again, he muttered. You're going the wrong way, Hummingbird said. You should take the high road. It's safer. Leave me alone, said Coyote. I go where I want, I do what I want, and I take what I want. There is danger ahead, warned Hummingbird. Danger, said Coyote. I'm not afraid of anything. You can't tell me what to do. And Coyote turned and ran off. Well, Hummingbird called after him. Up ahead, there are some beautiful blankets. Whatever you do, don't touch them. Why not? Cried Coyote. Because they don't belong to you, answered Hummingbird. Hummingbird doesn't know what she's talking about, thought Coyote. How can there be blankets out here in the middle of nowhere? Sorry for that. We had some brief technical difficulties, boys and girls. But let's start again. After a while, Coyote squeezed through a narrow gap, and he gasped when he saw what he saw was on the other side. Blankets! That silly old bird was right, he thought. Those blankets are beautiful. But why are they draped over those rocks in the middle of nowhere? Coyote ran over and he sniffed one of the blankets. I would look fine dressed up like in this. I could wear it as a new coat. Now, what was it that Hummingbird said? That I'm not supposed to touch these blankets? What does she know? And Coyote put on his fine new coat and dashed away. Well, he felt great as he traveled along. I wish someone were around to see me, he thought. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Oh, maybe that's someone now. And the ground started to shake. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Wherever it sure is big and noisy, said Coyote. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Coyote glanced back. That's not someone. That's a rock, and it's coming after me. Coyote ran faster. Rumble, rumble, rumble. And the rock picked up speed. That rock looks like the one that was wearing my blanket, said Coyote. But no, the blanket belongs to me. Well, Coyote ran on and on through the canyon, and finally the rock disappeared. No rock in sight, thought Coyote. I can outrun a rock any day. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The rock was back, and it was coming around the cliff. Oh no! Cried Coyote, and he dashed off. And each time Coyote stopped and glanced back, the rock was getting closer. Coyote tried to run faster, and he sure was getting tired. Finally, exhausted, he collapsed in the middle of the path. Surely I'm safe now, he said, but rumble, 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 the rock was still there. Coyote jumped off and he ran off. Mule Deer was grazing nearby. Hey, Mule Deer, Coyote called out, can you help me? A killer rock is trying to crush me and I'm weak from all this running. You're so strong, you can stop that rock with your powerful antlers. I am strong, Coyote and Mule Deer agreed, puffing out his mighty chest. I will help you. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Mule Deer lowered his giant antlers just as the rock came crashing toward him. Crack! Went the antlers. Boom! Went Mule Deer. Rumble, rumble, rumble went the rock, and it headed straight for Coyote. Coyote howled and darted away. Poor Mule Deer. And he looked back. The rock was dangerously close. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Coyote's paws ached and his muscles hurt. Who does this rock think he is? He thought. I am Coyote. Go away! He screamed, but the rock rolled closer. Coyote saw bighorn sheep resting on the mountain. Hey, sheep, he called out. Can you help me? until the rock's trying to crush me, and I'm weak from all this running, and you're so strong, you can stop that rock with your powerful legs. I'm strong, Coyote, Bighorn Sheep agreed, puffing out his mighty chest. I will help you. Well, Bighorn Sheep lowered his head and kicked his back legs as the rock came crashing toward him. Crunch went the hooves. Boom went Bighorn Sheep. Rumble, rumble, rumble went the rock, and it headed straight for Coyote. Not again, yelped Coyote, and he darted away. Poor Bighorn Sheep. It wasn't long before Coyote could go no further. Help! He howled. Someone save me from the killer rock! Give back the blanket, said the tiny voice. Coyote looked up, and there was Hummingbird. Go away! Cried Coyote. This is my blanket. I'll never give it back. Then you'll be running forever, said Hummingbird. I can't run anymore, said Coyote. Then you will be crushed, said Hummingbird. There is a spirit in the rock, the ancient spirit of the great desert. You've taken what does not belong to you. Now you must give it back. No, shouted Coyote. Yes, cried Hummingbird. No, yes, no, yes. Coyote sure is stubborn. Rumble, rumble, rumble. There was that rock again. Help! Shouted Coyote. I should leave you to be crushed, said Hummingbird, but I can't stand to see an animal hurt, even a coyote. And she whirred her wings with all her might, and she created such a tornado that the dust flew, the wind roared, and the rocks rolled to a stop on Coyote's tail. Ow, 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 ow! Coyote looked over his shoulder. You stopped the rock, Hummingbird, but now my tail will be as flat as a beaver's. Then give back the blanket, said Hummingbird, and I'll fix your tail. Coyote pulled, and he pushed, but he couldn't get that rock to budge. All right, he said finally, you win. Here's your old blanket. Now fix my tail. Hummingbird took the blanket, and then she whirred her wings again until the dust and the wind swirled, and she whirred, and with a crack, the rock fell apart. Hummingbird whirred a little more and fluffed up. Coyote was loose. This place is full of killer rocks and crazy birds, said Coyote. I'm leaving. Coyote dashed off, and Hummingbird shook her head. That Coyote, she said, will he ever learn? And guess what? No! Coyote was a trickster, and he didn't learn. Well, that is the end of my story, and I think Marvin's going to end the day with a joke. So, Marvin! Let's go find Marvin. Marvin!
Yeah, I'm here. Well, thank you, Miss Michelle. You're welcome. Well, that coyote is sure a trickster, and he sure is stubborn. But anyway, well, boys and girls, hope you enjoyed our story hour. And now it's time for Kid Joke of the Day. Do you know which day a lion eats the most meat? Miss Michelle, do you know? No, I don't. Which day is it? Tuesday! I thought that was a good one. Well, anyway, boys and girls, that's the end of our story hour, and remember the antler dance. Ready? No, antlers. No, antlers. Well, bye, boys and girls. We'll see you real soon. We'll see you next week. Bye, Miss Michelle. Bye, Marvin. We'll see you later. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile.